They say she walks when the fog rolls in. Ash Pines, Maine, population 942. Blink and you'll miss it. One main street, one gas station, and a diner that still serves cherry pie like it's 1963. A quiet town, or it used to be, before the disappearances, before the dreams, before her. Everyone in Ash Pines knows the legend of the Pale Lady. Some say she's a ghost. Others whisper she was real, a woman locked in the attic of the old Rourke Asylum until it burned down in the 70s. But most just nervously laugh it off. Except now, no one's laughing anymore. It started with Devin Pierce, 17, captain of the soccer team, missing since October 3rd. He never made it home from practice. They found his car, still running, door open, parked by the woods off Old Creek Road. His phone was in the front seat. The driver's seat was empty, but there were long, pale smears on the outside of the door, like someone had touched it with chalk-dusted hands. The sheriff called it a runaway, but in Ash Pines, no one really runs away. Not without a coat, not without shoes, and never without saying goodbye. I didn't know Devin that well. He was 2 grades above me. But the day after he vanished, I started hearing things, whispered words, not in my ear but in my head. Every time the fog rolled in thick off the lake, I'd hear them again. And last night, I saw her. It was nearly midnight. My parents were asleep, and I was watching a horror movie I'd seen a dozen times just to drown out the sound of the wind. Then the power cut, pitch black. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam cut a thin cone through the dark, shaking in my hand. I stepped into the hallway, intending to head downstairs to check the breaker, but stopped cold at the window. There, through the fog outside, I saw her. Not clearly, just a shape at first. A tall, hunched silhouette standing at the edge of our yard, where the pines meet the back fence. She didn't move. She didn't need to. My chest tightened. My feet locked. The flashlight flickered. I blinked, and she was gone. I barely slept. The next morning, I told my best friend Ava. She thought I was messing with her. The Pale Lady? Really? You're pulling my leg? But later that day, she changed her tune. We were walking home from school, past the empty lot where the old library used to be before it burned down. That's when Ava froze. Her face went pale. "Did you see that?" she whispered. I followed her gaze. A face, impossibly white, bloated, and slack, was pressed against the far window of the old house across the street. Just a glimpse before it pulled away. We ran. That night, Ava called me. She was crying. "There's something in my room, Nathan. It's standing in the corner, not moving, just watching." Her call dropped. When I biked to her house, her mom said Ava had locked herself in the closet, screaming. She didn't remember any of it the next day. We needed answers, and Ash Pines didn't have many places to look for them. So we went to the one person who might actually believe us, Mr. Hawthorne, the art teacher. He was old, half-blind, and completely obsessed with the town's history. His classroom looked more like a crypt than a learning space. Paintings of dead-eyed figures covered every wall. He never smiled. I saw her. I told him bluntly, while Ava hovered behind me, arms crossed tightly. "The Pale Lady?" he asked without flinching. I nodded. He sighed. "They always come in fog season. Every 20 years or so. But this time, it feels different." Then he showed us the painting, hidden behind a dusty sheet in the back of the room. It was taller than me, stretched on a crooked wooden frame. The figure on the canvas was unmistakable. Long black dress, swollen face, thin gray hair falling like moldy threads. Her skin was the color of ash, and her eyes were open. "I painted this after the last wave," Mr. Hawthorne whispered. 1978, I dreamed of her for 6 nights straight. The 7th, she stood outside my window. Ava stepped closer. Her eyes are following me. I wanted to scoff, but she was right. Wherever we moved, the Pale Lady's painted gaze shifted with us. "There's a room in the old asylum basement," Hawthorne said suddenly. "They locked her body down there. The townsfolk swore it would keep her from coming back." He looked me dead in the eye, but someone must have opened it. Ava stopped sleeping after the painting. She tried, she really did, but every time she closed her eyes, the dreams came. They started the same way: thick fog outside her bedroom window, scratching on the glass, and a low humming noise like someone breathing through a flute. Then came the voice. Soft, raspy, wrong. Nathan, Ava, let me in. One night, she called me in a panic, her voice trembling. She's calling again. She keeps saying her name now, too. I unplugged my phone. She still called. I asked what she meant. She called through the dialed tone. I didn't know what to say. I was scared too, but I tried to be the voice of reason. It's in your head, Ava. Maybe it's trauma. We saw something that messed us up. She hung up. The next day, she looked worse. Pale, hollow-eyed, distant, like she'd aged 5 years overnight. When I touched her shoulder, she flinched. She watches me in mirrors now, even in reflections of spoons. She's everywhere. I begged my parents to let Ava stay over, just for one night. I didn't tell them why. They wouldn't believe it anyway. She came over with her blanket and a shoebox full of salt. Salt stops her, she said. We lined the windows, doorways, and mirrors. It didn't help. At 3:13 a.m., we both woke up at the same time. No sound, no footsteps, just the soft, slow creaking of the bedroom, door opening. Even though I had locked it, the light from the hallway stretched across the floor like a tongue, and then a shadow blocked it out. A tall shadow. No footsteps, just silence. We held our breath. Neither of us moved. I squeezed Ava's hand hard. After what felt like hours, the shadow was gone. But on my phone screen, even though it was off, I saw a face reflected behind me. No one in Ash Pines talks about the Rourke Asylum. It burned down in 1978 after a patient supposedly escaped. Or that's what the official report says. But Mr. Hawthorne told us something else. The fire started after they locked something in the basement. The pale lady wasn't a ghost, he said. She was a patient. According to him, her real name was Margaret Reeve, committed in 1956 for delusions and violent episodes. She kept drawing people with no faces, whispering about the space between mirrors. She refused to sleep, claimed the fog was watching her. Other patients went missing while she was there. Eventually, the town voted to contain her, literally. They sealed her into a concrete room in the basement. Alive. We had to see it. I know how that sounds. But we couldn't sleep, couldn't function, couldn't think of anything else. We needed to know if it was real, if this thing haunting us had a beginning, maybe it had an end too. So we went. The asylum was deep in the woods, past Old Creek Road, where the tree branches are so thick they block out the sun. The building was mostly rubble now, cracked brick, rusted rebar, bones of something once massive and cruel. We found the stairs to the basement half buried under debris. Each step creaked like a scream. The deeper we went, the colder it got. Not just cold, wet like the walls were sweating. The air smelled of iron and mildew, and something that might have once been flowers, long dead. Then we found it, the door. A thick, rusted slab of iron bolted into concrete, with words carved, not painted, above it. She does not sleep, Ava touched it. The entire hallway trembled, and then from behind the door came a knock. Slow, heavy, followed by the sound of something breathing. We ran. But before we made it up the stairs, I turned to look back just for a second, and I saw her, standing in the hallway behind the door, smiling. Her mouth was too wide. After the asylum, everything changed. We didn't talk about what we saw, not because we didn't want to, but because we couldn't. Words didn't come out right. Every time I tried to describe her smile, I forgot what I was saying halfway through. Ava started getting nosebleeds. She barely spoke. Her eyes were always darting toward corners of rooms where no one was standing. People noticed. We weren't the only ones. 2 more kids vanished in the next week. First, a junior named Caleb, last seen walking home after chess club. Then Ella Carmichael, who was 8. Her mom found her bike tipped over by the edge of the forest. No footprints, no tire tracks, just the same pale, smudged handprints on the seat. The sheriff stopped pretending it was nothing. A curfew went into effect. News vans rolled into Ash Pines like vultures. The fog came every night now, thicker than ever. The town felt haunted, not by one ghost, by something older, something patient. We went back to Hawthorne, but he was gone. His classroom? Cleared out, like he'd never worked there. Ava said she had a dream about him. He was in the painting, she whispered. The pale lady was holding his face like a mask. We didn't sleep that night either. Then the whispers started. Not in our heads this time, in the static, the TV, the radio, even the dead dial tone on the landline. They were layered voices, all saying the same phrase. Look behind you. Every time I did, she was closer. Ava had a plan. If we burn the painting, maybe we cut the link. Maybe it's her anchor. I wasn't so sure, but I had nothing left to lose. We broke into the school. The painting was still there, covered, but still watching. As soon as we touched it, every light in the building shut off. We heard footsteps, not shoes, barefoot, wet-sounding, dragging steps. We lit the match. She screamed, not with sound, but with pressure, like gravity itself screamed at us. The floor cracked. Ava collapsed. Fire climbed the canvas, but she stepped out of it. She was inside the painting. And now she was out. We barely escaped. I pulled Ava from the classroom as the fire roared behind us. Alarms blared. Sprinklers didn't help. They only made the smoke spread faster, like her shadow stretching across every surface. They found us 2 hours later, covered in soot and shaking. We said it was an accident. They believed us, but no one asked about the face burned into the wall. Her face, charred and twisted, mouth open in eternal scream. Ava stopped speaking entirely after that night. She doesn't eat much anymore. She draws, over and over again. Same image. A tall woman in a black dress. No eyes, just a mouth full of teeth that looks like it never closes. Her parents sent her away out of state, somewhere safe. I stayed behind because I started seeing her everywhere. In reflections, in shadows, in the corners of photos I didn't take. The pale lady doesn't haunt places. She haunts people. And once you've seen her, really seen her, she follows you. She waits. She watches. And eventually, she calls you by name. 3 nights ago, my phone rang at exactly 3:13 a.m. The screen was black, no number, but the voice on the other end rasped, "Nathan, you look back." Now, I can't stop hearing her in the static. I can't stop feeling her hand on my shoulder when I sleep. And tonight, the fog is thicker than ever. If you're hearing this, don't answer when she calls. Don't look at her reflection. And whatever you do, don't go into the pines.